Working with data provided by R packages is a great way to learn the tools of data science. But at some point, you want to stop learning and start working with your own data. In this section, we'll learn how to read plain text rectangular files into R. Here, we'll only scratch the surface of the data import, but many of the principles will translate to other forms of data. We'll finish with a few pointers to packages that are useful for other types of data. So let's jump in and load our tidyverse dataset. We've got that loaded. In the course material, in this same video, there's an attachment which has the read CSV file and also has a heights.csv file. Extract that file to wherever it's convenient and load the data using the following command. Read.csv and then just the file location. And that creates that the variable heights will load that CSV. So if I run that, it says I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 columns and tells me the type of column it is. You can look at the data frame loaded. It's a tibble, and you can see it's 6 columns and 1,192 rows. Most of the functions are concerned with turning flat files into data frames. Read.csv reads comma delimited files, and read.csv2 reads semicolon separated files. So in this example, we're using comma delimited, but if there were, we said semicolon delimited, you could use read CSV2. So those are some of the functions. These functions all have similar syntax. Once you've mastered one, you can use all of the others. So read CSV, read CSV2 all have similar syntax. For the rest of this video, we'll focus on read CSV. Not only are CSV files one of the most common forms of data storage, but once you understand read CSV, you can easily apply your knowledge to all other functions in this package. So we've started with the heights, and now we can also load plain CSVs. And let's run this one right here. And you can see it created 3 columns with the characters in those columns. In both cases, read CSV uses the first line of the data for the column, which is a very common convention. There are a couple of cases where you might want to tweak this behavior. So first, let's say sometimes there are a few lines of metadata at the top of the file. You can use the skip command, which skips the first n lines. So let's go ahead and try that. So let's say the data frame looks like this, right? And we want to skip the first 2 lines. We just add this at the end of it and run it, and you'll see it comes back with just the data frame and without the 2 lines in there. What happens if we don't do that? It creates a little bit of silliness. It creates an error because it recognizes each word as a new column, and we don't want that. So there's your skip lines equals 2. And then we can also use a function to comment out the lines that have comments in them. So let's say, first let's save this. And let's say we have, instead of the first 2 lines, there are just comments in the middle of your application or your file. You can actually comment out the lines by highlighting the rows which have comments in them. We need to double parentheses. And if you run this, you'll get the same result. So it skipped the first 2 lines and created the 2x1 tibble that we were expecting. Let's go back to the read CSV. So comment. So this gives you a good introduction to how to use the read CSV commands. We'll look further in this course and pull in other types of data files, but now we're going to stick with CSVs.